In the heart of a bustling high school, where popularity is currency and cruelty is sport, one cheerleader stands defiant. When bullies rip away her jacket in a crowded hallway, exposing her to humiliation, Kyla Reed unleashes a jaw-dropping, roundhouse kick that echoes through the school, silencing her tormentors and igniting a firestorm of secrets, revenge, and redemption. Buckle up, America. This is a story of courage that'll leave you cheering. Don't forget to subscribe for more gripping tales that hit hard and inspire harder. Story script: Kyla Reed adjusted her cheerleading jacket, the bright red letters, spelling out Captain, catching the fluorescent light of Lincoln High's crowded hallway. At 17, she was the picture of poised blonde ponytail swinging, green eyes sharp, and a smile that could charm a snake. But beneath the polished exterior, Kyla carried a weight heavier than the pom-pom she twirled at Friday night games. She was a girl with a past, one she'd fought hard to bury in this small Ohio town. Today, though, that past was about to claw its way back. The hallway buzzed with the usual chaos of third-period lockers slamming, sneakers squeaking, and voices overlapping in a cacophony of teenage energy. Kyla navigated it with practiced ease, her cheer squad trailing behind her like a flock of loyal birds. They were headed to the gym for practice, but Kyla's focus was elsewhere. She'd overheard whispers all morning, snippets about a new kid, some troublemaker from Cleveland who'd transferred in after a stint in juvie. The rumors didn't interest her much. She had her own problems, like keeping her grades up for the scholarship she desperately needed, and dodging her stepdad's temper at home. As Kyla rounded the corner by the science wing, she collided with a wall of muscle. Derek Vance, the school's resident bully, loomed over her, his Letterman jacket straining against his broad shoulders. Flanking him were his cronies, Jake and Corey, their smirks as sharp as knives. Derek's eyes locked onto Kyla's jacket, and a cruel grin spread across his face. "Well, look at this," he drawled, loud enough for the hallway to take notice. "Little Miss Perfect thinks she's untouchable in her fancy captains." Jacket. Kyla's stomach tightened, but she kept her voice steady. "Move, Derek. I've got places to be." The crowd around them thickened, phones already out, ready to capture whatever drama unfolded. Derek stepped closer, his breath hot with the scent of energy drink. "Places to be? Like what, shaking your pom-poms for the whole town to drool?" "Over." His hand shot out, grabbing the sleeve of her jacket. Before Kyla could react, he yanked hard, the fabric tearing as he wrenched it off her shoulders. The hallway gasped, a collective intake of breath as Kyla stood exposed in her thin practice tank top, her cheeks burning. For a moment, time froze. Kyla felt the weight of every stare, the sting of humiliation creeping up her spine. She could hear her stepdad's voice in her head, the one that called her weak, useless, a failure. But then something else stirred a fire she'd kept buried since the day she'd left her old life behind. Her eyes narrowed, and without a word, she pivoted on her heel. Her leg snapped up in a perfect arc, her foot connecting with Derek's jaw in a roundhouse kick that sent him sprawling to the floor. The hallway fell silent, the only sound, the dull thud of Derek's body hitting the tiles. The crowd erupted, some cheering, others shouting, as Jake and Corey lunged toward her. But Kyla was ready. Years of martial arts training forced on her by a mother who'd once dreamed of Olympic glory kicked in. She ducked Jake's swing, grabbed his arm, and twisted it behind his back, sending him stumbling into Corey. By the time a teacher pushed through the crowd, Kyla stood tall, her torn jacket clutched in one hand, her chest heaving. Derek groaned on the floor, clutching his jaw, while the hallway buzzed with whispers of, "Did you see that? And who is she?" Principal Hargrove arrived, her face a mask of fury. "Ella Reed?" "My office." Now, Kyla didn't argue. She followed head high, ignoring the stairs and the phone still recording. But as she walked, she caught a glimpse of a new face in the crowd, a boy with dark hair and a leather jacket. Watching her with an unreadable expression, there was something familiar about him, something that sent a chill down her spine. She shook it off, focusing on the trouble she was in the principal's office. Kyla sat across from Hargrove, who was already typing up a disciplinary report. Fighting is a suspendable offense, Kyla, Hargrove said, her voice clipped. You're lucky Derek's not pressing charges. Care to explain yourself? Kyla clenched her fists, the torn jacket draped over her lap. They humiliated me. I defended myself. Hargrove sighed, leaning back. You're the cheer captain. You're supposed to set an example. 3-day suspension, starting now. And I'm calling your parents. Kyla's heart sank. Her stepdad Ron would be livid. He already saw her as a burden, a reminder of the wife who'd left him. But worse than that was the fear that this incident would unravel everything she'd worked to keep hidden. Back in Columbus, Kyla hadn't been a cheerleader. She'd been a fighter, literally. Underground fight clubs, late-night brawls, a world of bruises and cash under the table. She'd escaped that life when her mom died, moving to this sleepy town to start over. But now, with one kick, she'd risked exposing it all. When Kyla got home, Ron was waiting. His face was red, his beer can crumpled in his fist. You think you're some kind of badass now? He roared, tossing the can at the wall. Embarrassing me at that school? Kyla stood her ground, her jaw tight. I'm not the one embarrassing anyone. They attacked me. Ron stepped closer, his breath sour. Keep talking, and you'll be out on the street. Kyla didn't flinch, but inside she was crumbling. She needed that scholarship to escape this house, this town, this life. The next day, Kyla's suspension kept her home, but the school was abuzz. Videos of her roundhouse kick had gone viral on social media, racking up thousands of views. Called her a hero, others a thug. The cheer squad was divided. Half wanted her back as captain, half thought she was too volatile. But the real storm was brewing elsewhere. The new kid, the one Kyla had noticed in the hallway, was named Ethan Cross, and he wasn't just any transfer student. Ethan had known Kyla in Columbus. He'd been part of the same fight club. Scrappy kid who'd idolized her back when she was Kayla the Crusher. Oh, the undefeated teen fighter who'd taken down grown men. Ethan cornered Kyla outside the local diner that evening, his leather jacket creaking as he leaned against her car. Heard you're still throwing kicks, he said, his voice low. Kyla's heart raced. What do you want, Ethan? He smirked, but there was no warmth in it. I want in. No. You're done with the fights, but I'm not. And I know you're off. Secret. One word to the school, and your scholarship's gone. Kyla's blood ran cold. Ethan wasn't just a ghost from her past. He was a threat to her future. Over the next few days, Kyla wrestled with her options. Ethan wanted her to fight one last time. High-stakes underground match in Cleveland with a $10,000 purse, he claimed. It was his ticket out of trouble, but Kyla knew better. The fight world was a trap, one she'd barely escaped before. But Ethan's threat was real. If he exposed her past, the scholarship, the committee would drop her faster than Derek had hit the floor. She agreed, but not without a plan. Kyla spent her suspension training in secret, using the old barn behind her house. She shadowboxed until her muscles screamed, her kicks slicing through the air. But she wasn't just preparing to fight, she was preparing to outsmart Ethan. She'd learned a few things in the fight clubs, including how to spot a setup. Ethan wasn't working alone. Someone bigger was pulling the strings. Someone who wanted Kyla back in the ring for more than just a payday. The night of the fight arrived. A Friday when Lincoln High's football team was playing an away game. Kyla drove to Cleveland, her cheer jacket folded neatly in the passenger seat, a reminder of the life she was fighting for. The venue was a derelict warehouse, the air thick with sweat and cigarette smoke. The crowd was a mix of lowlifes and thrill-seekers, their shouts drowning out the thump of bass from a makeshift sound system. Ethan was there, his eyes glinting with something darker than greed. Then Kyla saw him, the real puppet master, a Coach Harlan, Lincoln High's football. Coach stood in the shadows, his clipboard replaced by a wad of cash. Harlan had been part of the fight scene in Columbus, dirty coach who'd bet on kids like Kyla and pocketed the profits. The fight was brutal. Kyla's opponent was a hulking girl named Tasha, a seasoned fighter with a mean streak. Kyla took hits that left her ribs aching, but she danced around Tasha's swings, her training giving her an edge. The crowd roared as Kyla landed a spinning heel kick, sending Tasha to the mat. But as she stood over her opponent, panting, she caught Harlan's eye. He wasn't just betting on her, he was filming, streaming the fight to an underground network. Kyla realized the truth. This wasn't about the money.
Alan
Wanted to drag her back into the life she'd escaped. To make her a star in his twisted world, Kyla had one card left to play. During her suspension, she'd done some digging, using her cheer squad's gossip network to uncover dirt on Harlan. He'd been skimming booster club funds, bribing refs, and now running illegal fights. Kyla had tipped off a local reporter, who was in the crowd tonight posing as a gambler. As the fight ended, Kyla raised her fists in victory, but her eyes were on Harlan. She shouted his name, loud enough for the cameras to catch. "This is for you, coach. Smile for the news." The warehouse erupted in chaos as the reporters' team revealed themselves, cameras flashing. Harlan bolted, but the police were already waiting outside, tipped off by Kyla's call. Ethan, caught in the sting, turned pale, his bravado gone. Kyla didn't stick around to gloat. She grabbed her winnings enough to cover her college application. Fizan slipped out into the night. As Kyla drove back to Lincoln, the weight of the night settled over her like a fog. She pulled over at a rest stop, the Cleveland skyline fading in her rearview mirror, and let herself breathe. The money in her bag was a lifeline, but it wasn't the real victory. She'd faced her past head-on, not with fists, but with cunning. Yet doubt gnawed at her. Had she truly escaped, or had she just traded one cage for another? The viral video of her hallway kick had made her a local legend, but it also painted a target on her back. She thought of her mom, whose dreams of martial arts glory had pushed Kyla into the fight clubs in the first place. Her mom's voice echoed in her mind, soft but firm. "You're stronger than you know." Kyla clutched her torn cheer jacket, its frayed edges a symbol of her resilience. She wasn't just a fighter or a cheerleader, she was a survivor. The fight wasn't over. Rumors were already swirling about another coach, someone higher up, who'd been Harlan's silent partner. Kyla's phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "You think you're free?" "We're not done." Her jaw tightened. Whoever was out there, she'd be ready. She started the car, her eyes fixed on the road ahead, knowing that her next battle might not be in a ring, but in the shadows of her own town. For now, she'd return to Lincoln High, to the cheer squad, to the scholarship fight. But she'd keep her guard up, her kicks sharp, and her secrets closer than ever. Back at school, the fallout was swift. Harlan was arrested, the fight club exposed, and Kyla's past came to light. But instead of ruining her, the truth made her a legend. The scholarship committee, impressed by her courage and resourcefulness, kept her application alive. Derek and his cronies, humiliated by the viral video and scared of her now, steered clear. The cheer squad welcomed her back. Her roundhouse kick a badge of honor, KYL stood on the football field at the next home game. Her jacket patched but proud, leading the squad in a routine that brought the crowd to its feet. She'd faced her past, her bullies, and her fears, and come out stronger. As the final cheer echoed through the stadium, she caught sight of Ethan in the stands, his head bowed. He'd been expelled, but Kyla felt no anger. She'd won her freedom, and that was enough. Hey, America. What did you think of Kyla's story? Drop a comment and let us know where you're watching from: New York, Texas, California, or somewhere else. Hit that subscribe button for more epic tales of grit and glory.